doing, guys? This is Sunny from Rippin' Lips. Okay, so here's what you'll need. You'll need your reel and have your line. If you have a line on it and you want to keep that line, tape it off so that you're not messing with it, or you can take all the line off if you're going to re-spool. You're going to need, for this particular reel, any reel with a bearing that's actually on the spool, you're usually going to need some kind of pliers. Boca bearings actually has pliers. That's the pliers there. And I will put a link in the description. This is for removing the spool bearing. I haven't used these yet, so I will be showing you how to use these, and I'll be using them for the first time. You will need a flathead screwdriver, some kind of little brush, the bearings, and a few Q-tips, and I like to use these little foam kind of cotton swab things. Anytime you're maintaining your reel or you're taking it apart, it's a good idea to wipe it all down and make sure that there's no dirt on there, grime from when you're reeling it in. It gets in there, so when you open it up, it can get in there from getting on your fingers or whatever. It's better to keep it clean and not get crap in there. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing I like to do is take my swab and just kind of clean anything that's off on the reel. Take the brush and kind of get all the dirt that's on there and kind of wipe it off before I start opening up the reel. It's a good time to inspect it too. Kind of look at it, looking through it. See there's some crap right there. These little things you can kind of get in these little tight areas and get all that crap out of there. Alright, I did this prior to this video, so it's pretty clean now, but still there's some stuff on there. Alright, now with this reel, I'm going to take the pin, open that pin, and this spool, the side plate is going to spin up. So it's like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with, actually we'll start with the spool bearing. Get that out of the way. So with this, I'm going to want to take my rag and wipe the shaft, and then wipe the back part, get all that grime off of there, get it all clean. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is replacing this bearing first. So I'll get that bearing ready, keep it on my neck. And it's a good idea to save these old bearings and put them right into the package after, so that you can, if you're going to sell the reel, you can sell these bearings separate or whatever you're going to do. Okay, so we're going to take our Boca bearing pliers and we're going to place these on and push that pin out. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to push. There's a groove here, and then there's a push. So this is going to push, and it's going to slide through that split. And sorry for the noise in the background. Just people doing work outside. So here we go. We're going to push that pin. Alright. There we go. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to put the pliers on that. Okay, so what I got to do on this one is you got to put it in from this angle, straight, and get that split right over, and then get that push pin right over the top of it. So we're going to just push it right out. So see how it's out there? Now some people could use pliers. I don't like to do that because it can damage the edge of this spool shaft. If you bend this or put a groove in it, anything on this area here, it rubs and it can affect the way that the spool spins. So I don't really like doing that. So there we go, I got the pin out. Here's the pin. So let's take that bearing out. There it is. So we're going to replace it. And the shaft, let's see what this one is. Ooh. We're going to put it up. It's probably... looks kind of like that one. I think it's this one right here. Yep, it's a 5 by 11 by 4. Can you see that? That one right there. 5 by 11 by 4 for the spool. Okay, so before we put that on, I'll take my little, just kind of wipe off anything on the inside there where the bearing touches. It looks pretty clean. So I'm going to take my Boca bearing, put it on there. I'm going to put my spool pin back in. And now use the inside groove here of the pliers to push it back in. And when you push it back in, you want to kind of go slow and kind of just make sure you get it straight. You want to just kind of push it in a little bit, and then check it and see how it's off a little bit. You want to try to get that as even as possible, because when it's not, when your spool starts spinning, it's going to unbalance it. So the straighter you got that, the better it's going to be. So I'll play with it for a little while here, and we'll get it just perfect. Alright, that looks pretty close, but I want to get it even better. And I'll do it one more time just to get it even straighter than that. Alright, one more. One more. I'll do it. There we go, that looks perfect. Alright, so that bearing's all set. Now let's do side plate bearing. Let's get this bearing and put it back into the bag. Save that. And there's the numbers for that if you need it. Okay, let's get the bearings out for the side plate and the tension knob. Alright, so there's those. Put those aside. Put this aside, put the spool aside. Okay, so now what you're going to do on this one is there's a kind of like a lock spring in here. It basically pushes on the outside, it looks like a C. And then it kind of has like an octagon or a stop sign shape. So what you're going to do is you find where the split is. Let me get this to focus better. Okay, so you're going to find the split, and the split is here and here. So you're going to take your thumb and you put it over half of it. And then you're going to put the screwdriver in here and tip it out. Just kind of pick at it a little bit and push it out and up. And then slide your finger forward and it should pop out of there. So there it is. Don't lose this. And I'm going to put that right there. Now you're going to take your Q-tip with the cut end, put it in there, so it's like that, and then just kind of tip it to the side and then pull back. And it'll pull that bearing right out of there. Put that right there. So now I'll take the Q-tip and just kind of like wipe around the edge. I don't want to wipe in there because there's a little bit of oil on the outer edge for where the bearing sits. So we're going to put the Boca bearing in there. Make sure it's in. Take the Q-tip and just kind of press down and make sure it's all the way in there. Then we'll take our clip and we're going to put it halfway back in, the same way we took it out. So make sure it's in the groove in there. Okay, and then we're going to take our screwdriver and push back the pin. And keep your thumb over half so it doesn't go flying. Just take it like that. And make sure it's in before I let go. There you go. That bearing's in. Okay, now we'll put this aside. Now for the kind of the more complicated one, I guess. Well, not more complicated, but what you're going to do is put your finger on the handle here and kind of hold it back on the anti-reverse and get it into the split. And then just take this knob off. Take your tension knob all the way off. And on this particular reel, nothing will fall out and you're going to lose. But just in case, I'm going to tip it back and then put it down. So what we're going to do on this one is there's a C-clip in this one, and it's not like the other one, it's completely round, but there's a split in there. So what I can see is two little dimple holes. I don't know if you can see that. And basically so that you can put something in there and pry it away. So what I'm going to do is, if you can see this, try to do my best. I'm going to try to get my finger over half and put the screwdriver in there and just tip it so that it comes towards me. And there it goes, it comes out. On this one you can probably use a Q-tip and push it out. Just don't lose this piece. And then from the back side, you take your Q-tip, push it through here, through the through the main gear, and push that bearing right out. So, there it is. I'm gonna put that one right there. Now we can put the Boca in there. Almost forgot. Just wipe the edge here. Make sure there's no grime in there. It's pretty good. And then take your Q-tip and push the bearing in and make sure it's in all the way. Now on this one we're going to take that C-clip and we're going to put it back in halfway. Just like this. Take my screwdriver and kind of push it down. Sorry if you can't see all this. It's hard to do this and show at the same time. So, alright, I'm going to have to switch angles here. Alright, so let me prop you up so I can kind of get a better angle at this. Okay, so put it back in halfway, take a screwdriver, push the rest of it in, and don't poke the bearing, you're just basically trying to get it in there and back into its little groove. So there it is. It basically just sits in there and locks it down so it can't come forward. It can't move around. So let's screw our tension knob back on just a little bit. We're not going to tighten it all the way down because we don't want it to touch. Put our spool back in. Put our side cover back on. And that's already. Now these bearings will break in. They will get a little bit smoother and more free of a movement. But let me see what the time difference is here. I'm going to switch the camera for a sec. Alright, well that's the how to change Boca bearings, the orange seals, in the Bass Pro Shops Carbonlite CL10HL. Alright guys, thanks for watching.